You don't have to divide life into compartments. You don't need to separate what's work from what's play. What if everything you did, each step, each breath, every word spoken was simply life unfolding through you? Not a task, not a burden, but a kind of sacred play. We live in a world that constantly whispers this lie, that you are somehow not quite right, not smart enough, not kind enough, not calm enough, not spiritual enough, not enough. So we chase endlessly after a future version of ourselves, imagining that one day we'll arrive and finally be complete. But what if that's all wrong? What if I told you that there's nothing broken inside you? That this moment, this strange, beating, aching, curious moment is already whole. Not perfect like a clean-cut diamond, but perfect like the flicker of a flame, the curve of a tree bent by the wind, the spiraling of galaxies you've never seen. Because you too are nature. You are not just in the universe. You are of it, as much a part of it as the sea and the stars, as the laughter of children or the rustle of leaves in autumn. Even your thoughts, your doubts, your longing, your joy are ripples in the fabric of being. And you don't need to do anything to earn your place here. You already belong. You are not a mistake or an accident. You are a rare and radiant occurrence of the cosmos, a living phenomenon with no need for justification. See, you didn't come into this world the way someone walks into a room. You came out of it. Just like an apple comes out of an apple tree, you are an expression of the universe. Humaning. You are not a stranger to this earth. You are this earth. You are its thoughts, its questions, its dreams of itself. But here's the twist. Most of us were taught that we are separate, that we live inside these bodies like passengers in a vehicle, observing the world from a distance. We were trained to feel like small selves, like isolated minds peering out through the eyes, trying to survive out there. But that's an illusion, a trick of language. There is no clear line between you and the world, just like there's no boundary on a wave. It is the ocean rising and falling. Look at a flame. Does it have fixed edges? Does it stand still and define itself? No. It dances, it moves, it happens. You are like that. Not a solid object, but a flow, a verb pretending to be a noun, a continuous unfolding of sensation, of memory, of thought, of breath. When you were born, the universe wasn't trying to test you. It wasn't aiming to improve you or fix you. It was revealing something only you could be. And what a beautiful, strange, unrepeatable thing you are. No one else has your rhythm. No one else laughs quite like you. No one else carries your exact melody of silence and sound. That's not a flaw. It's a signature. You are designed, not in the mechanical sense, but in the way lightning splits the sky or snowflakes spin in symmetry. But early on, we were taught to tame that wildness, to behave, to obey, to strive, to become. And in that striving, we forgot the truth, that we already are. We were convinced we're not enough, that our worth must be earned, that we must improve, achieve, and constantly ascend. But I ask you, have you ever seen a flower forcing itself to bloom? A tree rushing to reach the sky? Of course not. They become because they are becoming. You too are becoming. You too are the universe unfolding. So this is not a call to achieve, it's an invitation to remember, to return, not to doctrine, not to dogma, but to something older and closer, to the truth humming beneath your skin. You are not a machine with broken parts. You are not a project that needs completion. You are not a problem. You are an event, a cosmic celebration, every bit as wondrous as a thunderstorm or the aurora borealis. You are inevitable and you are enough. And still I know what the mind says. But what about my past? What about my guilt, my shame, my failures? It clings to those stories like old clothes that no longer fit. But even that pain, even that self-judgment is part of the play. Not a mistake, just misunderstood. From birth, many of us are handed a script. Life is a test. You're being judged by God, by society, by your family, by yourself. So we play the part. We try to fix, adjust, perform. But what if that whole performance then isn't necessary? What if the meaning of life isn't hidden in achievement, but is simply to be alive, not to rush, not to perfect, just to be? Try this now. Close your eyes. Feel what it's like to simply be here without needing to change anything. Before the thoughts come, before the judgment, that raw presence. That's you. Not the voice in your head, not the list of flaws. You are the silence beneath it, the space that holds it all. Look at the sky. Do the clouds apologize for drifting unevenly? Does the wind apologize for changing direction? No one tells the moon it's rising too late, or the wave it's crashing too soon. And yet, we humans believe we must constantly explain ourselves. We must earn the right to exist. That belief, that we're not already worthy, is the root of so much suffering. But it's just that, a belief, and beliefs can be unlearned. Because your imperfections, they're not failures. They are the brushstrokes that make you real. You don't need to become life. You are life. You are what life looks like when it takes the shape of a human being. Even your desire to improve, to awaken, to become more spiritual, it's part of the process. You don't have to stop wanting, but you can stop thinking you're not enough until you get there. It's like the sun trying to be bright, the ocean trying to be wet, unnecessary but still beautiful. So don't chase an image of perfection. Instead, notice the miracle that you are right now, without needing to adjust anything. You're not a thought. You're not the opinion. You are what remains when all of that falls away. And in that stillness, something ancient returns. A knowing that you are nature, vast, untamed, unfinished, and breathtaking. So when I say, you don't have to do anything, I don't mean to become passive. I mean, stop trying so hard to be what you already are. You don't have to push the river knows how to flow. You only need to float. And remember, you are the river, and just like that, life flows through you, not around you, not behind you, not waiting for your permission. It lives through you, effortlessly, beautifully, constantly. Birds don't sing to be noticed. They don't worry if their tune is off key or if anyone's listening. They sing because that's what they are. Their song is their nature expressing itself in sound. Likewise, you don't need to force meaning into your life. You don't need to chase purpose like it's a train you almost missed. Purpose doesn't come from striving. It arises naturally like a breeze brushing your cheek, like laughter that spills out when you least expect it, like music you didn't plan to hum. This is what ancient Taoist wisdom calls effortless action, Wu Wei. Not laziness, not indifference, but the gentle art of moving with the current rather than against it. When you find that rhythm, the one where you're no longer managing life like a to-do list, but simply being life itself, something sacred begins. That's when the dance starts. But here's the twist, the paradox that stumbles so many of us. We spend years trying to find ourselves, as if the real self were hiding in a box somewhere waiting to be rescued. We try to be authentic, as if authenticity were a prize to be earned, a product you can grab off a shelf if you meditate hard enough or read the right book. But the moment you try to be yourself, you've already stepped out of alignment. Because the self isn't a thing to grasp, it's something you relax into. Trying to be spontaneous is like trying to fall asleep on purpose. The more you try, the more it slips away. We become so obsessed with asking, am I doing this right? Am I enough yet? Am I finally awakened? And in all that questioning, we miss what's here. It's like chasing your own shadow around a room. There's nothing wrong with the effort, it's endearing even, the ego polishing itself like a gemstone trying to become enlightened through effort and strain. But eventually you laugh, because you see that the one trying to fix you was never broken to begin with. The whole journey begins to look like cosmic theater, a brilliant divine play, and you realize you don't need to become yourself. You already are, in your stillness, in your confusion, in your quiet breath and messy thoughts. That's where the real you lives. Authenticity isn't something you manufacture, it's what remains when you stop pretending. And that, dear soul, is freedom, but if we want to go even deeper, we must face a peculiar truth. One that's easy to overlook. You didn't invent the image you carry of yourself. It was crafted for you, slowly, silently by others. By words, glances, judgments, expectations. You were handed a mirror made of other people's opinions, and little by little you began to believe it. From the time you could form words, you were told who to be. What was lovable, what wasn't, what would bring praise and what would bring punishment. And so without noticing, you shaped yourself to fit the reflections around you. A borrowed identity, a mosaic stitched together from teachers, parents, religions, culture. But then one day, maybe when you're 20, maybe when you're 50, you feel something strange. A kind of weariness, not of the body, but of the soul, as if you've been wearing someone else's clothes for so long that you forgot how your own skin feels. That flicker, that holy rebellion is the real you stirring. It's the soul saying, I'm in here, I'm still alive. The most dangerous thing we can do is confuse the mask for the face. Yes, the role you play is helpful, it gets you through the world. But it is not you. You are the one behind the role. You are the actor, not the costume. Yet the world teaches us to identify with the surface, to become the good girl, the strong man, the high achiever. And in doing so, we forget. We are also storms. We are poems. We are wilderness in motion. So when people say, just be yourself, what they often mean is, be the version of you that makes us comfortable. But true freedom is not comfort. It's the ability to see the performance, not destroy it, but understand it's just a role, a temporary mask. And once you know that, you can take it off when it's heavy, or wear it with joy like a child playing dress-up. Because the one underneath, the one watching silently, that's you. The one who isn't trying to impress. The one who doesn't need validation. The one who simply is. That you was never wounded, never lost, never less than. It only needed remembering. So then, what remains? When you're not your roles, not your wounds, not your thoughts, what's left? Silence. Not an empty void, but the silence that listens, the quiet awareness behind the noise, the still space in which all life unfolds. You see, awakening isn't a process of collecting anything. It's not a reward system. It's not leveling up. It's subtraction. It's what happens when the mud settles in the pond. The water was always clear. We just stirred it up, but people fear that silence. Because in the silence, the ego loses its microphone. It fades. And in that fading, the true self emerges. You don't find your essence through more thinking. You find it by surrendering, by looking inward, not to judge, but to witness with wonder. And when you finally stop running, you feel it. That subtle hum inside your chest, that warm, infinite spaciousness where all striving dissolves. And what remains? Being, pure, unfiltered, enough. So how do you live like this? Not by mastering some technique, not by fixing everything, but by letting go of the script. Like the sky lets the clouds pass through, it doesn't hold on, it doesn't argue, it just allows. And so can you. You don't have to prove anything. You don't need to be more than you are. Because once you realize you are the sky, the storms no longer scare you, they pass. And the sky remains. You begin to trust life, not because you figured it out, but because you no longer believe you need to. There's a rhythm to things, a tempo that belongs not to clocks, but to your breath. And when you stop pushing, you begin hearing it. That's the irony, isn't it? When you stop trying to live right, you begin to live real. More wonder, less control. More play, less proving. Because trees don't force their growth. Waves don't ask if they're crashing properly. They just are. And so are you. So let yourself be lived. Let life move through you, unhindered. Because that is your nature. And that is enough. So we return full circle to where we began. To that unsettling, liberating truth. There is nothing wrong with you, not as a platitude, but as a radical remembering. You're not some broken soul waiting to be fixed. You are not a spiritual project waiting for completion. You are, in this moment, a shimmering ripple in eternity. A breath of the infinite, a note in the cosmic symphony. And if you can begin to see yourself as such, not through judgment, not through shame, but through the eyes of wonder, then you will finally see. You were never separate, never too much, never not enough. You were always just like that. Not perfect, but whole, not flawless, but beautifully, wildly, completely you. And now all that remains is to remember, to breathe in, and simply be. Because once you stop chasing who you should become, you'll discover the miracle of who you already are. And that has always been home.